The email arrived at 3:47 a.m., its subject line burning through the darkness of my bedroom. Your husband's auto shop isn't what you think. I'd been doom scrolling through crypto forums, unable to sleep after another tense family dinner, when the notification popped up. My name is Elise, and until that moment, I thought I understood what kept me awake at night. Usually it was watching market trends or worrying about our next mortgage payment. Not this time. The anonymous message was brief but devastating. Check the shop's financial records from the past 6 months. Pay attention to transfers to MC Holdings. Your sister-in-law Marissa isn't funding her lifestyle with her yoga instructor salary. My hands trembled as I read it again. The writer knew too many details to be random spam. MC Holdings, it had to be Marissa's initials. The same Marissa who'd shown up to dinner earlier wearing a new Cartier watch, claiming it was just a little treat for herself. I glanced at Caleb, sleeping soundly beside me. His face looked younger in the blue light of my phone, almost innocent. The same face that had tensed up when I'd asked about the shop's finances last week. Everything's fine, Elise, he'd said a little too quickly. Business is steady. Stop trying to micromanage everything. But something wasn't adding up. Marissa's expensive tastes had always been a source of family tension, but lately, they'd become ridiculous. Designer clothes, luxury vacations, that watch, all while supposedly living on a yoga instructor's income. I opened my laptop, the screen's glow casting shadows across our bedroom wall. The shop's accounting software was still logged in from when I'd helped Caleb with taxes last month. My finger hovered over the keyboard as doubt crept in. Did I really want to know? Some truths can't be unknown once discovered. The cursor blinked, waiting for my decision. Behind me, Caleb shifted in his sleep, mumbling something about timing belts. I took a deep breath and started typing, knowing that whatever I found would change everything. Sometimes the biggest betrayals start with the smallest suspicions. I just didn't realize how deep this one would go. Lorraine's dining room felt smaller than usual tonight, cramped with unspoken accusations and the overwhelming scent of her signature pot roast. I'd spent the whole day analyzing the shop's financial records, and now, watching Marissa twirl her new watch under the chandelier light, my stomach churned with each flash of diamonds. "Oh, you should see the boutique in Milan where I got this," Marissa gushed, directing her words at Lorraine. "They treated me like absolute royalty." Milan. I couldn't stop myself. "I thought you were just in Phoenix for a yoga retreat." The silence that followed was deafening. Caleb's fork scraped against his plate, a harsh sound that made me wince. "I had a last-minute opportunity," Marissa said smoothly, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "Some of us know how to seize the moment, Elise. We can't all be stuck behind spreadsheets all day." Lorraine jumped in, her voice wavering. "The roast is getting cold." "Caleb, honey, would you like more potatoes?" "The shop must be doing really well," I pressed, ignoring the warning squeeze Caleb gave my knee under the table. "International shopping trips, designer watches. It's quite a change from last year." Marissa's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her water glass. "What exactly are you implying?" "Nothing," Caleb cut in. "Elise is just tired from work. Aren't you, honey?" I met his gaze, searching for any hint of guilt, any crack in his facade. But his eyes were steady, almost challenging. The same look he'd given me this morning when I'd asked about the MC Holdings transfers. "Actually," Lorraine interrupted, her voice suddenly bright with forced cheerfulness, "I've been meaning to show you all something in the attic. Some old family photos I found." "Mom," Marissa sighed, "nobody wants to look at dusty old pictures right now." But I caught something in Lorraine's expression, a flicker of knowledge, maybe even fear, before she looked away. She knew something. The anonymous email sender had mentioned family secrets, and suddenly I wondered just how deep they went. "I'd love to see them," I said, watching Marissa's face carefully. "Especially any from when the auto shop first opened." The watch glinted again as Marissa's hand tightened around her fork. "Some things," she said quietly, "are better left in the past." The mortgage refinancing notice lay on our kitchen counter like a loaded gun. I'd found it buried under a stack of mail while searching for more financial records. Our house, My dream home with a garden I'd spent 3 years cultivating had been used as collateral for a loan I'd never known about. It was for the shop, Caleb said, his voice steady, but his hands fidgeting with his coffee mug. We needed new equipment. $200,000 worth? My voice cracked. Without telling me, the morning sun streamed through our kitchen windows, casting shadows that made Caleb's face look hollow. You don't understand how business works, Elise. Sometimes you have to take risks. Risks? I slapped the refinancing papers. This isn't a risk, it's our home. And what about these transfers to MC Holdings? Another business decision I wouldn't understand. His mug hit the counter hard enough to splash coffee. You've been digging through the shop's accounts? Someone had to. Your sister's living like a Kardashian while our savings account is bleeding dry. Leave Marissa out of this. His tone shifted, something dangerous creeping in. She's family. And what am I? The silence that followed felt like a confession. My phone buzzed, another email from the anonymous sender. Check the safety deposit box at First National. Box 247. The truth about MC Holdings is there. Caleb's eyes fixed on my phone. Who's that? Nobody. I grabbed my keys. I'm going out. Elise, wait. He caught my arm, gentler than I expected. There are things you don't know. Things I can't explain yet. I pulled away, remembering Marissa's smirk at dinner, Lorraine's nervous glances, the years of family secrets I'd ignored. That's the problem, Caleb. You never could. As I backed out of our driveway, I saw him standing in the doorway, looking lost. For a moment, I almost turned back. Then I remembered the refinancing papers, the mysterious transfers, all the lies. The bank was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes to decide if I really wanted to know what was in that safety deposit box. Sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just shows you who your prison guards really are. You need to see this, I told Jenna, sliding my phone across her kitchen table. The safety deposit box had contained exactly what the anonymous emailer promised. Documents showing regular transfers from the shop to offshore accounts, all under Marissa's control. Jenna studied the screenshots, her usual smile fading. Holy shit, Elise. This is way bigger than just designer shopping sprees. There's more. My coffee had gone cold, untouched. I found paperwork for 3 other properties bought under MC Holdings. Vacation homes, basically. All purchased in the last year. Using the shop's money? Jenna's eyes widened. Does Lorraine know? The question hit harder than I expected. I don't think so. But she's been acting strange lately, especially when Marissa starts talking about her trips. And Caleb, my hands shook as I pulled out the refinancing papers. He's been helping her. Our house, everything we've built. He put it all on the line for her schemes. Jenna reached across the table, steadying my trembling fingers. Have you considered that maybe? A text notification cut her off. Marissa's name flashed on my screen. Lunch tomorrow? Just us girls. We need to talk about family loyalty. She knows, I whispered. Somehow she knows I was at the bank. Don't go, Jenna said immediately. This isn't about family loyalty. It's about control. But another text followed. Mom's not doing well. The stress is getting to her. Would be a shame if things got worse. The threat was clear, even through the casual tone. I remembered Lorraine's pale face at dinner, the way her hands shook when serving dessert. I have to go, I said. But first, I need you to do something for me.
I pulled out a USB drive.
This has copies of everything. If anything happens. Nothing's going to happen, Jenna interrupted, but she took the drive. Just keep it safe. And if you don't hear from me by tomorrow night, send it all to this email address. I wrote down the contact information for a financial crimes investigator I'd found. Elise, Jenna's voice was quiet. What exactly are you walking into? I stood up, gathering my things. Either the end of their game or the beginning of mine. The emergency family meeting wasn't about Lorraine's health at all. I realized that the moment I walked into her living room and saw Marissa perched on the armchair, like a queen on her throne, Caleb standing protectively beside her. Mom's having memory problems, Marissa announced, her voice dripping with artificial concern. The doctor suggests she might need assistance with her finances. Lorraine sat quietly in her usual spot, hands folded in her lap. But I caught the flash of anger in her eyes. I've already drafted the paperwork, Marissa continued, producing a thick folder. Power of attorney. Just to keep everything in the family, of course. Everything in the family? I couldn't help but laugh. Like the offshore accounts? Or the vacation homes bought with shop money? The room went deadly silent. Caleb's face drained of color. Mom. Marissa's voice turned sharp. See how she's trying to cause trouble? The stress isn't good for your health. Lorraine's hands began to shake. I'm not sick, she said quietly. And I'm not stupid. Nobody's saying that, Caleb jumped in. We just want to protect. Protect what? I interrupted. The family's reputation? Or the money you've been funneling through MC Holdings? Marissa stood up, her designer heels clicking against the hardwood floor. You really want to do this now? In front of Mom? Stop using her as a shield, I snapped. I've seen the documents. All of them. Documents can be misinterpreted. Marissa smiled, but her eyes were cold. Just like loyalty can be misplaced. Right, Caleb? My husband wouldn't meet my eyes. Instead, he moved closer to his sister, a united front against me. Sign the papers, Mom, Marissa urged. Before things get complicated. I watched Lorraine's hand hover over the documents, trembling. In that moment, I saw our whole family balanced on a knife's edge, truth on one side, destruction on the other. Wait, I said, pulling out my phone. Before anyone signs anything, there's something you need to see. Marissa's smile faltered as I pulled up the evidence I'd gathered. Sometimes the only way to save a family is to break it first. These transfers, I said, projecting the documents onto Lorraine's living room wall with my phone, started the day after Dad died. The numbers glowed accusingly in the dimming afternoon light. Every week, like clockwork. The shop's money flowing straight into Marissa's private accounts. Marissa's perfectly manicured nails dug into the leather armchair. You have no idea what you're talking about. $200,000 from remortgaging our house, I continued, sliding to the next document. 3 vacation properties. First-class flights. All while the shop's employees took pay cuts. Stop. Caleb stepped forward, his voice breaking. Please, Elise.
Why?
I turned to him, my hands shaking. Because it hurts to see what your sister really is? Or because you helped her do it? Lorraine stood suddenly, her face ashen. The shop was your father's life, she whispered. Everything he built. Mom. Marissa's voice turned syrupy sweet. You're getting upset. See what she's doing to this family. Family? Lorraine's voice cracked like a whip. Is that what you call stealing from your father's legacy? The room fell silent. Then Marissa laughed, a cold sound that made my skin crawl. Legacy? Dad left us nothing but debt and obligations. I just took what I deserved. With my help, Caleb added quietly. I knew. I helped her set it up. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. All those nights he'd worked late, the secret phone calls, the defensive answers about the shop's finances, it hadn't just been covering for Marissa. He'd been actively helping her. But our house, I started, was collateral we needed, he finished. I'm sorry, Elise, but she's my sister. Marissa moved then, quick as a snake, snatching the power of attorney papers from the coffee table. Sign them, Mom.
Now.
Or I'll make sure everyone knows about Dad's gambling debts. How he nearly lost everything before he died. Is that the legacy you want people to remember? I watched helplessly as Lorraine's hand trembled over the papers, years of family secrets crushing down on all of us, like a collapsing house of cards. I sent the email. Lorraine's voice cut through the tension like a knife. Her hand stopped inches from the power of attorney papers, and she looked directly at me. I sent you that first warning about the shop. Marissa's perfectly composed facade cracked.
What?
I watched you both, Lorraine continued, her voice growing stronger. Taking advantage of your father's death, stealing from his legacy. I thought if Elise knew, she might be strong enough to do what I couldn't. Mom. Caleb stepped forward, reaching for her shoulder. She shrugged him off. Don't touch me. Lorraine's hands stopped shaking. Your father knew at the end. About the money problems, about Marissa's stealing. He died thinking he'd failed his family. Marissa's laugh turned hysterical. Failed us? He left us with nothing but debt. Everything I took, I deserved. And you, she pointed at me. You were never really family. Just some outsider judging us, thinking you're better. Enough. I slammed my phone down, cutting off the projected evidence. This isn't about family or loyalty. It's about greed. And Caleb. I turned to my husband, seeing him clearly for the first time. It's about cowardice. Elise, please, he started, but I was already pulling papers from my bag. Divorce papers, I said quietly. Already filed. And copies of everything have been sent to the Financial Crimes Unit. Your choice now is simple. Sign over the shop to your mother's control or face charges. You wouldn't, Marissa whispered, but her designer heels stepped backward. Try me. I met her gaze steadily. Some families need to break before they can heal. Lorraine stood, suddenly looking years younger. I'll sign those power of attorney papers now, she said, reaching for her pen. But they'll put the shop in my name alone. And Marissa? She turned to her daughter. Pack your things. Your father built this family on honest work, not designer labels. The silence that followed felt like a tomb being sealed. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about giving people exactly what they deserve, the truth about themselves. 6 months later, I stood in front of the auto shop, watching the new sign being installed. Harper and Son Auto Repair Est. 1985. Lorraine had restored her husband's original logo, erasing the sleek corporate rebrand Marissa had pushed through years ago. The books are finally balanced, Lorraine said, joining me on the sidewalk. She looked different now, stronger, more like the woman I'd first met years ago. The restitution payments from Marissa's accounts helped. I nodded, thinking of Marissa's last Instagram post from some small town in Nevada, teaching yoga at a local gym. No designer clothes, no luxury vacations. Just honest work, finally. Caleb called yesterday. Lorraine mentioned carefully. He's completed the financial management courses. Wants to earn back his place here. And what did you tell him? That trust, like engines, needs more than just new parts to run properly. She smiled sadly. It needs time, maintenance, and honest work. The divorce had been finalized last month. I'd kept my crypto investments. He'd kept his shame. Fair trade. All things considered. You know, Lorraine said, reaching into her purse. I found something else while cleaning out the office. She handed me a worn envelope. Inside was a photo, me and Caleb on our wedding day, standing in front of the shop. We looked so young, so certain about everything. Turn it over, she urged. On the back, in her late husband's handwriting. Remember, family isn't who you're born to, it's who you choose to become. He would have been proud of you, Lorraine said quietly. Not for exposing the truth, but for giving us all a chance to rebuild from it. I tucked the photo back into its envelope, watching the morning sun glint off the shop's windows. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying what's broken. It's about clearing space for something stronger to grow. Coffee? Lorraine asked, nodding toward the diner across the street. I hear they serve it without family drama these days. I laughed, linking my arm through hers. Some families you're born into, some you marry into, and some you build from the ashes of what burns away. The trick is knowing which ones are worth saving.